The following podcast is an RMG Media production.
Welcome to the Renaissance Podcast, a podcast for Renaissance women
and men
who want to create a modern-day Renaissance in their life and business.
We interview some of the most successful entrepreneurs and share their unique stories.
Are you ready to create your Renaissance? I just feel so excited to be on this podcast with both of you. Like three blondes, three badass blondes that are super successful, that are crushing the game. Two of them love golden retrievers.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, I love golden retrievers.
I'm more of a like.
obsessed.
You guys are love obsessed.
Yeah.
Oh no, like I don't even have one. It's my sister's, but I'm the aunt.
Yeah.
And my brother has one as well. So I'm the aunt to two. And they both live here.
Wait, it's in your bio, the name of the golden retriever.
Yes, it is in my bio.
And it's not even your...
Bella Grace. No, it says I am the aunt. I am the aunt to the golden
There's
retriever.
something about being an aunt, though. Like, when my sister had a baby, I was almost like, should I put that in my bio? George's aunt.
I'm
Like,
dying.
being an aunt is fun.
That's a different kind of love.
It really is.
It's
And
amazing.
I had to add that because I was like, what else do I love to do? I just love to be with Bella. So it's great.
I think that is the cutest thing. Well, anytime anyone puts like a dog or a pet in their bio, I'm like, we have to talk about that because we're major animal people here.
Yes.
I'm just more of like a little dog person, which I know big dog people are probably like, then you like cats. But it's different. I don't like cats.
Yeah.
I just like little dogs that don't shed. That's just me.
Yeah.
That's just my vibe.
Yeah, I get that.
But
I don't really like cats either. So
Yeah, me neither. I'm not a cat
Don't hold me
person.
against
And I'm more of a
that.
big
Don't hold me
dog person. I'm not a little dog person. No offense to Emmy and Stevie. I like Emmy and Stevie.
I get
I'm
it.
very picky about the little dogs that
Me
I
too.
like.
well, they can be really annoying. And my little dogs are very annoying. They're not here today because we're recording and because they're so annoying, but I love them.
Yeah.
So there's that.
dogs are good for you.
Yeah.
Dogs are very
They're
good,
good
for you.
your mental health.
Yes.
Well, we have Morgan Stanley on the podcast today. We've got this badass president of BrainTrust, which if you're in the 0.3% that doesn't know what BrainTrust is, it's this incredible organization, which you're going to say this way better than me, that supports women entrepreneurs and helps them get to $1 million in revenue and beyond,
Yes. And beyond. Yeah.
to infinity and beyond, which created by the legendary Sherry Deutschman.
The legendary Sherry Deutschman.
Like, literally, when I think about someone who has inspired my journey, who has inspired me so much, and who has been so open and honest and transparent on her journey,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's no one better to me in terms, like,
Have
of-
you read her book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lunch with Lucy.
Have you read it?
No, I
You
haven't.
need to read it.
You do need to read it.
I know. I'm not a great reader. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I'm just not a great
I
reader.
promise you I'm not either, which I
Uh-huh.
need to be better about.
Yeah.
And I am just read like 10 pages a day, it
Yeah.
helps. But this book, you'll read it in one sitting. It's like, it's
It is, yeah.
It's just, you just want to read it. So
It is. And it's really a lot about our mission here and
Yeah.
just has inspired the mission and the team. I mean, that's like
putting
That's-
employees first.
putting the people first.
Yeah.
And how that is the key to success,
Yeah.
like in running a business. And I just think when you have that like unlock in your brain and then you start really putting that into action, it's incredible to
Yeah.
see what happens.
No, I mean, she had her old company. That's what she did at her old company. And then in BrainTrust. And now as president, like I'm taking that and doing that with our new team members, empowering them, putting them first before the members, before the customers. And it's great. She's awesome. She's created an amazing organization and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Well, how did you get started with BrainTrust?
So I moved to Nashville in 2018 and I started working at a company. We did like business coaching. So we would travel around the world helping scaling organizations. So our core client was really like 5 million in revenue plus. And so we would implement this methodology and help them scale. And I traveled all the time and I was like, I'm tired. I'm burnt out. It was 4 years of like on the road constantly. And I got connected to Sherry through just another kind of mentor I had. And she and I went to lunch. And of course, we just hit it off. I feel like everyone who goes to lunch with Sherry, though, hits it off. And we just started talking. And after a few months of talking, she was like, I really want to hire you as business development. And I said, Sherry, I've never sold anything in my life. But I said, I do know how to build relationships. So if I can do that, then I'm your girl. And then there we are, a year and a half later, now president.
It's amazing what, having some faith in somebody can do.
Yeah.
And can do for you, but then can do for their entire trajectory. I'm sure all of us in this room can remember looking back at a time when someone gave them a really major opportunity and then just you ran with it. I mean, that was me early in my career when I was 22, working at the Johnny Cash Museum and climbed that ladder to be the executive director of the entire museum without a college degree. And my parents were like, excuse me, what the fuck? And it's incredible. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation with both of you. Ashley's our VP of social media here. She's climbed the ladder. She started as a social media manager, graphic designer, and just has forged her way through all of our ups and downs as you go through as a business, and just stuck with us and has crushed it and has the highest retention rate for clients of any of our staff members. And
That's awesome.
It's just, I was like, she and I had early conversations about imposter syndrome when she first got this role. Yeah. And I was like, immediately, we need to have Morgan on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about
We had this
over lunch. I think as women, we face this, but as younger women, you know, especially in our 20s, you're like, you're the president of a company? What do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, I'm the president. Have you seen all I've done? Let
me get my scroll out of all that I've done.
Yeah, let me just go through. I had a mentor and he passed away this year, unfortunately, but he always used to say, how hard are you willing to work when no one is looking?
Yeah.
And it's like people see on social media, oh, you're the president. Oh, did you just get that because of luck? And no one knows, all the other things you did when no one else was watching you.
Yeah.
All the hard work, all the late nights, all whatever it might be. So it's a real thing.
Do you think, this might be a controversial question.
I love a controversial
question.
love
controversy.
We do. Do you think that if you worked for a man, that you would feel as empowered as you do in your current role?
That is a good question. I did work for a man previously, and he owned the company, and I do think I felt empowered, but in different ways, And I think what I learned working at that old company, I used to work with a lot of men, just within the company, my clients, and what I found was that sometimes they would let me talk, but they really wouldn't listen. Or they would let me say something, but it really wasn't sticking. Whereas with women now, if I say something and I'm at the table, it's yeah, that's a good idea. We should go do that. And so it's sometimes I had the seat at the table, but it didn't really matter because I still didn't really my voice really wasn't heard. So I'm a little bit in the middle on that question. I do think, though, that I have had more opportunities now working for a woman that I didn't have previously.
I think there's something about the relatability piece.
Yeah, I agree.
I relate to my team that's 98% female, whatever the percentage of a person is for Walker. But I relate more to them. It's harder for me to relate. And maybe that's something I need to work on. Maybe that's something we all need to work on.
Right.
But it is harder, I think.
Well, and I feel like guys don't understand, and I feel like one of our missions at Renaissance is to empower female entrepreneurs and empower women. And guys just don't really get that. They don't, because they haven't experienced it. They haven't experienced, some of the hardships, or the not being taken seriously because you have blonde hair or because you're wearing a hot pink blazer.
Exactly.
Guys don't get that. And so I feel like, it's easier to relate to women on that level.
Yeah, it's easier to relate, and it's what you're saying. They haven't been in your shoes.
Yeah.
I talk about this a lot with friends, and I'm like, do guys understand what we think about 24/7? I think we were talking about this. They wake up, they go to work. They're not thinking about, now I don't have children, but I'm thinking about 15 other things I have to do for the day, and all these other things I'm helping other people get done, like my siblings, or and They just are like, I'm at work.
It is wild to me to ask my husband questions about his day.
Wild.
It is wild when I'm like, well, so you're not worried about that big meeting you have, like, tomorrow with your boss or something? Nope. You're not anxious about, your sales quota for this month?
No.
Like, or, you had that conversation that was tough with the client. What was that like? I mean, wasn't butterflies, but it happened and now it's over. And it's just like the lack of complexity in their brain.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe that makes me sound like an asshole, but like,
no,
but I think it's just about the fact that we're so different.
Yeah.
It's unique both ways.
Yeah.
But it's just a reminder that, women can run circles around men. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. It's like someone told me a long time ago, they were like, women have the spaghetti brain and men have the waffle brain.
Yes.
Where it's like the waffles that's just compartmentalizing, like relationship, job, dude friends, cars.
Yeah.
And like, that's my husband. And then it's like and it's like, okay, this peer at work, and then that feeds into this and this colleague. And then I've got a little bit of drama over here. And then I've got, it's just so many. Yeah.
All together.
It's like you said, we get it all done.
Yeah.
Even though it's a little noodly, like we check all the boxes.
How they all end up in a line.
Have you always been such a hardworking person? Because you really, you have to be. To be at this table, you have to be a very hardworking person. And
yes. Yeah, I grew up with parents that are entrepreneurs. So they both are pharmacists by degree, but they own pharmacies back in Arkansas where I'm from. And so, growing up with that, you kind of get that instilled in you, like, you're, to be a hard worker. And I just always, with everything I've done, I've always given it 110%. And, I had a mom who was very big on like, you're going to work and you're going to do good for yourself. And, that was just kind of how it was. And even through college, like, involved in everything, I wouldn't say school was my strong
that was going to be my next question, because I think that's a really interesting question for people who are really successful. Like, were you a good student?
Yeah, no. I was fine, but
same. I
had to work for it. And,
same.
It was funny. I just didn't. It didn't light me up. It didn't
come naturally to me either. Like, it was like, which I honestly think, looking back, pays off more now, because to make the good grades, I had to work really hard.
Yeah.
And so it instilled that work ethic in me that, like, if I wanted the straight A's, or if I wanted the B+, I was going to have to study my butt off to get the B+. But I think looking back now, like, it's instilled my work ethic in my career. And so because I feel like I was surrounded by all of my friends were just like naturally smart. Like, they didn't have to study that much. They just aced it. And I was like slaving away over like note cards. But looking back now, I'm kind of glad it was that way.
Yeah. I definitely valued like being involved more, in high school and in college, and
social butterfly.
Butterfly. Like, I've always loved building relationships, making connections, doing things like that versus like the school. And now it's funny, I love to learn now, but I learn about things that I'm interested in and really care about versus studying something, geometry or whatever.
Yeah, right. I know. It's like there's such a problem, I think, with the education system. I know I sound like our parents, but like I'm like, if there was more niche opportunities, for us, like.
And I feel like I did better in school the older I got, because the more niched down it got. Like, loved my master's
If I had stuck around a little longer, maybe I would have been successful.
Maybe. You're like.
But what are those core classes in freshman year?
Like,
I was
why do I need to take
algebra again? Nope.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Peace. Like, I was gone.
But look how successful. What's funny is I know a lot of the entrepreneurs I've worked with, they did not graduate college. They did not go to college. I mean,
there's hope, folks.
They're so successful. So I am a firm believer you don't have to get a degree if you don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, going back to the people that believe in you piece too.
Yeah.
Like if you can form relationships and if you see an opportunity, you see a window, you see a little bit of an open door and you kind of have the emotional intelligence, which I think is like the most important.
I
agree.
For sure.
I guess it depends on what industry you're in.
Yeah.
But I think for our kind of industry, it's super important, especially with sales and relationships. And you found a Sherry, and she saw that in you.
And I think just having like good mentors in general, wherever you are, whatever stage in life you're in, like you need to have a good mentor. And I think every stage of my life, I've had somebody that's mentored me. And even at my old company and, even before that in college, like I've had really good mentors along the way. And I mean, I'm very lucky. I have really amazing parents. And so they've always kind of been that for me as well. But to have strong mentors who believe in you and who see what you don't see in yourself. And I think that's something that helps you even overcome sometimes that imposter syndrome.
How did you find your mentors? Because I think I think you really have to put the ego aside, when it comes to that. And you really have to be like, I'm really open and I'm really wanting to better myself. And you really have to have that in you. You can't like have the wall up of like, I'll figure it out myself. Right.
And I've had times of that where I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do it on my own. But I think, especially in the business world, like both of them were just kind of where they just happened to fall into my lap almost. I think it's being open to coaching, being open to being mentored, asking questions. Like my mentor at my previous company, I mean, I just would ask him a million questions and he kind of just became my mentor because I just wanted to know more about business and figure out where I could grow and be a better leader and be a better, team member and all those things. So I think you have to be just open to it and, it will come. But some people are very pushed back by mentorship.
Yeah.
They don't want to be coached. They're like, I got it.
Yeah. It's definitely a mental practice I think you have to get past. Because if you, like you were saying, like every successful person has had some sort of mentor in their life. Like you've got to surround yourself with people that—
I totally agree. I think it's a game changer. I know like for me moving to Nashville, I feel like I found mentors and I don't know where I'd be without them. They were total just game changers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, get yourself in rooms with people that are more successful than you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be in your industry, but just in general.
Yeah.
Put yourself in those situations and watch what happens. Like I'm at the stage in my life where I'm like, I'm here and I don't want to hang out with people here.
Right.
I want to hang out with people here so that I can get here.
Yeah. I never want to be the smartest person in the room.
No.
And I think I'm lucky too because I'm a part of BrainTrust now who has 150 amazing women entrepreneurs in the city. And some of them, like I'll go to, for questions.
Yeah.
We don't give advice at BrainTrust, but advice per se and experience shares because, a lot of them are either they're older than me or more ahead than me. And so it's good to have that as well.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about BrainTrust. Like it is this incredible society. Can I say that?
Yeah, it's organization.
It's just this, I mean, everyone that I know a lot of women who have gone through the program have just raved about it. That it has changed the game for them. That it is like the community, like they're like 10 out of 10, the community I've gotten from this. And then like, just like you were saying, the experience sharers of people that are like, maybe I'm not in the same industry as her, but she shared, we ended up going through the exact same thing with an employee or with, a client or whatever it was. And it—
have that experience. Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, once again, Sherry Deutschman is an amazing human. And she kind of took this concept. There's other organizations out there that follow the same model, but they are specifically for men and women that are over $1 million in revenue. Well, 2% of women ever make it past $1 million in revenue. And it's crazy. And only 7% of men make it past $1 million. So it's still a huge gap though. And so Sherry was like, there's got to be something out there. And there's nothing like this to help women get to that mark. And so she started BrainTrust, for those women. And it's really to help them build financial independence and wealth and influence. And now we've had over 30% of our membership surpass $1 million in revenue. So
amazing.
Now we're serving both. And it's so fun to be able to see the women surpass $1 million, and they're still staying with BrainTrust because they still see the value of it. So really all we do is we put 5 to 7 women in a group. We call it a vault, so like a safe place. They meet once a month, and it's all based off shared experiences and peer-to-peer learning. So they are bringing their challenges and their opportunities to the table, and then getting the shared experiences from the other women at the table. And they're in different industries than them. So most women are like, how am I going to learn something from someone who's in a different industry than me? But you do.
Trust the process.
You learn from different shared experiences.
Read the testimonials.
Sometimes it's the woman that does literally the opposite of you that you're like, oh, I needed that shared experience today.
Learn from the mistakes of others. What are some, when you see the women that surpass to hit $1 million and go over, that maybe came in and weren't there yet, what qualities do you see them having that you're like, that's why she hit? That, are there some qualities, or are there some things that they've done, or some tips you can share?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. I think a big factor is their business model. I mean, there are just some businesses that may never make it past $1 million in revenue, but I think it's also your mindset. Because if you're a solopreneur right now and you say, well, there's no way I could be at $1 million, well, you're thinking wrong, because you maybe need to add some employees or do this different or add a different line of, of business to bring in different revenue. So there's a lot of things that you can do. But I think in terms of characteristics is women that are driven, that trust the process, and that do what they say they're going to do. And I'm a big believer in you put in what you get out. You get in what you put out, or put in what you get out, whatever what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Whatever you put in is what you get out. Yeah. So if you're showing up to the meetings prepared, willing to share experiences, willing to gain experiences, you're going to get a lot of out of BrainTrust, and you're going to grow your business. And it's really stepping out of your business. It's working on your business, not in your business. And so it's having that ability to find people to help you. We just recently at our annual conference, we had the women of Elf on the Shelf. They were keynote speakers. Amazing.
Love that.
And
multi-million dollar.
Yeah. Multi-million dollar business.
Invention.
And like household name now.
Totally.
Household
you
name.
Can't have Santa Claus without having an elf on the shelf now. Like,
I mean, I'm like, I don't have children yet, and I'm going to have to do it.
I just realized I now am buying one this year. So Sawyer will maybe know what it is.
But
maybe not.
But they said in their talk, they were like, don't hire for where you are, hire for where you're going. And I think a lot of women, they're like,
wow,
that's really good.
Right? And once again, they are the ones that quoted that.
We're going to put that at the top of the podcast.
But it was like, yes, that is so true. And I think a lot of women, but also just entrepreneurs in general, they are like, well, when I get here, I'll hire this one person. But
when I hit this milestone, when I make this much money.
But it's like, hire for where you're going. You plan to be $1 million business, like figure it out now so you are set up for success.
Right. Totally. Wow. There's so much to unpack with everything that you just said. I think that there's something so empowering about working on your business. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that that's said enough. And I don't think that women in business quite understand that. But when you kind of are at that point where you understand the internal operations of the business, you understand how to get new clients, you understand how to get new customers, you get your social media going, your website going, kind of everything sort of flowing, maybe not perfectly, but it's never going to be perfect. Oh. And then you step into a phase of, okay, now I'm setting this fucker up to scale, Yeah. And I'm going to do things like BrainTrust, and I'm going to go to I'm going to, get a mentor, and I'm going to, hire this CFO we just hired this year. We're going to, just doing those things. And it can be such a pain in the ass to do those things because it's the back end, whatever. But you have to do it in order to scale. And like you said.
And it's harder. I mean, if you think about it, it's easy to do the things that you already know how to do and working in the business and doing those detailed things. Yeah. But to get to that next level, you have to remove yourself and start working on the business, thinking strategically and putting those plans into action. But then having a team that you can trust to go and execute on that. And I think that is really important. And I saw that a lot with teams I've worked with previously at my old company. they would have great visions or we would set really strong plans.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a strong team.
Yeah.
And I think having A players is super, super important.
Would that be one of your biggest tips for scaling?
Yeah. I mean, I think your team is so important.
Yeah.
And the culture as well.
Mm-hmm.
But having the right people in the right seats doing the right things right. So a lot of people may have, great people, but they may not be in the right seats. And that person usually knows they're not in the right seat. Usually by the time you say, hey, it's time to go, they already know. They know.
True.
Yeah.
So
and
true.
it's not doing them a favor. But maybe it's not removing them from the entire organization. Maybe they are an A player, but they just need to go to a different role.
That's also very true. We've had that happen here. And it was great.
Yeah.
Those shifts. And I think it's hard. I think it's hard at any stage. I think it's hard. People are always going to be challenging, not because they're innately challenging, but just because, you're as a business owner, you're trying to worry about clients and money and business and this and contracts, but then you're also like, you've got to focus on the people.
Yeah.
Like they are the ones that are growing it. They are the ones that are sustaining and retaining.
Right. And when you have the right people in place, then you don't worry as much about things getting done.
Yeah.
And the plan is working. So I think that is a big part of scaling, and that's something that we really focused on. The other thing I would say is communication.
Yeah.
I think with any relationship, communication is key. But being very clear, as Brene Brown says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. Mm-hmm. And I think some people will come in and they'll say something, and then I can't read your mind. So I say something, you think something different, and then you go do it. I'm like, that's not right. So being very clear on what you want done and communicating that with your team and just constant communication, no matter what it is, having those meeting rhythms in place. And that's something I used to implement with companies, and it really is effective.
What, for like a business like ours, I'm just curious. I'm like, can you coach me real quick?
Sure.
What would you suggest for a great communication plan with the team? Like, in terms of maybe, I don't know, like reviews, quarterly reviews, annual reviews, feedback from you and then from them also. Like, what do you say?
Are y'all doing any of that?
They're in the works.
They're in the works. We're putting a new plan together. We've had a little bit of a change in management. And so we're kind of like restructuring a little bit.
Well, I would say that daily huddles, a lot of people push back on this, but we have a daily huddle every day. It's less than 15 minutes because there's only 4 of us. But we use a software called Align Today.
I've heard of that.
Use whatever, but we post what's going on in our world and what the team needs to know. So it's up. It's not our to-do list, but it's very specific on here's the things that happened over the course of yesterday. So I'm not annoying you every 5 seconds. Here's an update. Here's an update. So it's like what can wait for huddle. Yeah. And then every Monday we have a weekly huddle, and that's an hour and a half, and we're diving in and really, sharing things and solving problems. So we're saying this is something that's upcoming, an event we're hosting, whatever it might be. So those are some of our meeting rhythms. And then we have a monthly meeting, and that is when we review our profit and loss statements. So the whole company sees our P&L, and that's definitely something that was taken from Sherry. But
that's so cool. When we were at lunch, you said something about, I don't know, you said something about, it was on the profit and loss statement. And I was like, whoa, wow. Yeah. That's so cool that you have access to that and the whole team has access to that. Yeah. And I love that. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's definitely was taken from Sherry and what she did with Letter Logic. That was her previous company. Everyone in her company, think about even to like the janitor level was getting to see the P&L statement. And that's at first, because I'm, stepping into president role, she obviously gave me access, but then when we hired our new team member, she's like, everyone's going to view it. And I was like, what? I don't know about that.
Right.
It's great because everyone knows where we need to cut expenses, where we need to, increase revenue. We can see that if we got in sponsorship this month or we brought in new members, that helped increase the revenue. But hey, we had this event. How could we have cut, expenses there?
Wow.
So everyone has that accountability towards it. And they all feel like they're part of it. And then what Sherry does as well, and this is what she implemented at her previous company and we've implemented at BrainTrust, is we take 10% of the profits each month and split it evenly among the employees. So that's our profit sharing plan.
Wow.
So it really incentivizes you to
Bring it in.
Bring it in.
Yeah.
Get it done.
I love that. I love a strong commission plan for the team. We do that.
We love a commission plan.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's, and this is, one of the reasons why I love Ashley so much, but she's so on board with us bringing on new business. And, we talk about this a lot. I've run the company before where we've had team members that would be really negative.
Right.
When we brought on new business, because that means that was more work for them.
C players.
Yeah.
Literally C players.
Yeah.
I cannot even begin to tell you. Oh my gosh. And maybe D player. I mean, just the attitude thing. And Ashley said to me, she's like, why would they be that way? Like, it's more money in our pocket when we bring on new business.
I never understood the logic behind that of like, yes, you work for a small company, but this is a small company that wants to grow and scale. And scaling just means you're making more money. So why the hell would you not want to bring on more business? Like, yeah, it's a little more pressure on you. It's a little more work, but then like work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Like, be smart about your time management. Figure out ways that you can delegate to your team members. Like, put in new processes and things to make you like work harder or work smarter and just figure it out. Like, if you lose business, then you could lose a job. Like, you could lose your job. I think too, I've got that mindset after the pandemic too. Like, being furloughed in the pandemic, I'm like, bring on all the business. We want all, bring it all. We want all the business.
Right.
We don't want to lose any business.
Right. Well, and it's just, I want the team to be in an abundant mindset, like this is great and we're not going to be in scarcity and we're, I don't even want my team to be worried when we lose a business client because I'm so optimistic that we're going to get another one that was way better and pay more. And that's like totally where my wine glass is half full all the time.
I love it.
Because I'm like, it's going to happen, especially, and like you said earlier, mindset.
It's all about mindset.
Yeah. It's all about mindset.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, and I don't know if it's, the and I feel like I'm on like the millennial and Gen Z.
Yeah.
You're both
I'm like,
cusping.
I'm on the cusp of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So but I feel like I have a different mindset than a lot of.
And also parents. I have to say.
Play a factor in that. I would agree.
I sound so old when I say that, but I do think that how you were raised has a lot to do with your work ethic. Yeah. And I think talking about those C players on our team, I know for a fact several of them were handed everything. Not to be too in the weeds of personal life, but I just knew that about these girls. And, Ashley's worked her ass off for everything she's had. You've worked your ass off and you've had parents that were like, you have to work in order to be successful.
Yeah.
There's no work around the work.
Yeah. And I think I had my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but my dad worked his ass off. And I think even though my mom was a stay-at-home mom, she worked her ass off at being a stay-at-home mom and was cheer sponsor and was PTA president and did all the things.
The woman never sits down.
Yeah, she never sat down. And then my dad, like, working his ass off for everything he had and everything that he provided us. And so I think too, watching that work ethic, no matter what industry it was in, whether it was working your ass off at being a stay-at-home mom or working your ass off in the business world, like watching that firsthand growing up, I think really instilled my work ethic now too.
Absolutely. And two entrepreneurial parents too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not see the work. It doesn't ever turn off.
My siblings, we all three have this crazy, insane work ethic. So that's all we do.
I mean, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, and you talked earlier about like relationships and how that's played a pivotal role in your success and in the success of BrainTrust too. So can you speak on like building relationships, how they're so important?
Yeah.
How do you nurture relationships? How do you, I think we all have probably like a hit list maybe of like, I really want to like build a relationship with like those people because but how do you do that in a way that's not looking like you have a hidden agenda?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like I told Sherry when she first started or when she first offered me the job, I was like, I've never sold anything, but I know how to build relationships. And that's just the mindset I went in with. I never went in with, I'm going to sell you something. You know, it was like, hey, if this works and this is good for you, but like, I want to get to know you as a person. Like, I want to make sure that BrainTrust is the right fit for you. And even just building relationships outside of that as well. I mean, I just love getting to know people. I love getting to figure out their story and hear where they're from and what motivates them. And I think we all can learn something from somebody every day. Yeah. And so it's fun to me to be able to go and do that and just meet new people in the city and build those relationships.
And just be genuine. And I mean, you're just genuine. Yeah. You just genuinely are interested in their life and their story and who they are.
I genuinely care about like helping women entrepreneurs. And I think that's why I love what I do, because I love helping women. And even if that doesn't mean that they should be a member of BrainTrust, but I'm always like, who can I connect you with? Yeah. How can I help you? And I really, it's my passion in life. And so it's cool that I get to do my passion and it's my job.
That's so cool.
That.
So,
I mean, that's just what we're all about. And that's why I love you. And that's why I love Sherry. And I love everything you guys have built. And I think that Nashville is, I say this all the time, like just the most incredible women in business community. Yeah. And there are so many of us here that are just like that same mindset and that same mentality.
Sherry and I recently started a group. It was actually one of our members, Dominique Townsend. I don't know if y'all know who she is. She's amazing. But she came to us with this idea like, hey, there's so many women organizations in town. How could you all work together and support women entrepreneurs, support women in business? And so we ran with the idea and we started this organization called Women Organizations in Nashville. And it's just a roundtable. We do it once a quarter and we bring together it's just like 40 that we have on the list. Yeah. You know, there's probably more. But all the organizations in town that support women entrepreneurs and women in business. And we just have really good discussions on like, how can we all have this abundance mindset, not scarcity? How can we all come together and say, hey, if they're not a fit for BrainTrust, but they may be a fit for this, this organization?
Totally. It's the community over competition thing, but then actually practicing what you preach.
Yes.
That's actually putting the methods and the mythology and the mission and the core statements into practice by doing something like that, which shows you guys are like 1000% like genuine, authentic, transparent. This is who we are to our core. Yeah. And so let's just get us all into one room.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that. There's something too about being in a room with like women who believe in the same thing and just want to help each other out. That's why I love the summit. And even we did a workshop the other day. There's just something about being around like-minded women that just lights you up. It lights me up.
Yeah, when you're not judging and when you're not it doesn't have anything to do with how she looks or doesn't look or anything. Yeah. And it's just, you're just both being and you're all living that same human experience.
Each other.
Yeah.
When I first started at BrainTrust, it was like my third week there. Yeah. We have our annual Pacesetter Awards. It's where we recognize the women that have surpassed 1 million and who the person who has hired the most employees and, all these different awards we give out. But it was like my third week and one of the women had just started at BrainTrust and I was speaking with her and she said, I've never been in a room with this many women who are supporting each other.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, wow. And it was true though, because it was like the room was filled with just so much support and love. Yeah. And there was no like competition and, women can be mean to each other.
Oh,
Let's just be honest.
Well, girls are mean.
Yeah. And so it's always been that way with BrainTrust. And it's because Sherry created that, she created that environment and that space where women felt safe and they felt like they could come to the table and be themselves and all support each other.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see how the women in BrainTrust, they're doing business together.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to track it because I promise you, majority of the women are getting a lot of their revenue from each other, and it's great. Yeah.
Well, it's electric, when you kind of start getting those referrals and giving those referrals and doing business, and it's like, we just had a Zoom call earlier today with a group of gals who run Zach.
Oh my gosh, group. Nadine and Casey.
Yes. Yeah.
They're members. They're awesome. And I love them.
Okay, so that's
their
amazing.
Story is amazing. So
I need to have them on the podcast and I need to hear the whole story, but we're obsessed with them and we love them.
They were awesome.
They were so like-minded and that just reminded me of this whole conversation we're having, but they're going to Tennessee Women Connect on Thursday and we're like, we're going to be there. And, and it's just, that's what it's all about. You know, it's all about bringing other women up in any chance. And I feel like for every one woman who's had, 20 women try to tear her down, she's the one who's working her ass off to empower women so that doesn't happen to the gals before us.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've seen it so many times. And so I feel like my whole mission in life is to the people who have helped me, and then now the next generation, like bring them up, mentor them, and provide that guidance. And hey, it's not a fight. Like let's support each other.
Yeah.
Wow. So what is next for BrainTrust?
That is a good question.
You guys just wrapped the most incredible event in Nashville.
We had an amazing conference. We had 240 women there.
Insane.
It was awesome. We had St. L over there in Wedgwood, Houston area.
We love that venue.
Yeah. Packed.
It's magical.
Just amazing speakers. And, our whole conference is about reframing your failures. So really looking at your failures that you've had and how you turned those into successes. And sometimes I think we get caught up in, we failed, but it's really like, how did we turn that and make it something that we learned? I actually just recently added a section in our weekly huddle. So our weekly huddle, we have like different areas that we cover, deep dive, solving, all this. And one of the sections is, where did you fail last week and what did you learn from it? And I
add that to the Monday morning.
I was going to say, let's write that down.
Yeah. And it's so great because it could be something small and it's maybe not even a failure, maybe like a misstep, but it makes everyone on my team realize that like it's okay to mess up.
Yeah.
And it's okay to admit it. And like, let's move.
I love that.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned in business is like, you're going to fail. So own it. Own the failures, own the screw ups, own the fuck ups.
Yeah.
Because that's the best way you'll learn from it. And too, that's the best way too for the team to learn. Be like, okay, I made that mistake once. Like, here's what happened. Just FYI. So hopefully.
And then no one else does.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so we added that and anyways, anchor. And now back to what's next for BrainTrust. We are looking to expand, or we are expanding to another city next year.
Woo!
We aren't exactly sure where yet. We're doing a lot of research on that to make sure it's the right one. But more
Charleston.
Hey,
just kidding.
I love Charleston.
I'm having a huge moment with Charleston right now. I just want to live there. I want to exist in both cities.
Amazing. So that's really, what's next for us and just getting the year wrapped up. We just brought on 20 new members. We'll probably bring on another 30 or 40 at the end of this year. And
how do people get in touch with BrainTrust? I know we have two lowdowns, one lowdown coming up in October.
October 19th is our next lowdown.
See you there.
Yep. So, they can just email me or go to our website. You can sign up on the link through there. And then that's really like our info sessions is how you can get involved. So we have 4 a year. So after October, we'll have another one in January, and then they'll go pretty much once a quarter.
What is something that you are most proud of for this year? Could be professional, could be personal, could be anything.
Okay, well, 2 things. Okay.
Yeah, we love 2 things.
So personally, I am proud that I am a workaholic. And I don't know if that workaholic, I just love to work. I don't even know if I would call it a workaholic.
Yeah.
But you love to add value. Yeah. That's what you love. We're changing the name.
Yeah, I love to add value. And but this year I've done a lot of like self-care and making sure I just hit a breaking point of burnout almost. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing things for me. And so forever I had said I was going to join a tennis league, tennis clinic. And I joined it and it's been amazing. And it's like my escape. And I do it on Wednesday nights and it's great. So.
Okay, wait. That is amazing. Yeah. There's now a lot. I want to go there. Yeah. So you were starting to feel burned out, and then you were like, I love that you just you knew that you probably weren't pouring into Morgan like you should have been.
Yeah. Well, and I had said ever since I graduated college, which was almost 6 years ago now or whatever it might be, and I was like, I am going to join a tennis league. I'm going to join a tennis league. I'm going to do this. And I never did it. I mean, I would write it down. I would do it. And finally I was like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Because I know that I love to play tennis and I played all through high school.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a good escape for me. And so I joined a clinic with some other people in town and it's been awesome. It's just so fun and I'm competitive, so I do take it a little too seriously.
I love it. That's so funny. I didn't know that you had played. I thought maybe you were like, I just learned. No. You're like already good.
I had joined one, and it was like I was definitely probably more advanced than everybody. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna join this other one, and they're at my level. So it's nice to be.
I actually toyed recently with the idea of starting tennis, mostly because the outfits are so cute.
That's how I feel about pickleball.
The skirts
I just bought this little dress. I call it my pickleball dress.
I have a league you could go join.
Yeah.
Like a newbie, like never before held a racket league, like those girlies. Yeah. Okay. And I'm not competitive. I'm like, I lost so bad today. Do you guys want to have wine?
Oh no, I'm too competitive. It's like, this is a clinic. I shouldn't be this competitive.
I love it. But you know what? That's your outlet, and you're able to harness that.
Think about, anything.
Yeah.
Besides me hitting that tennis ball back over the net in that hour.
That's so
and then
freeing.
I took up Pilates as well, which has been.
I think it's so easy to think work nonstop. Yeah. Work. Like that's just what we do. Yeah. And that's what most successful people do. Yeah. But you do have to find things that make it to where you're not thinking about work. And I think that's really hard.
It's really hard. It's so hard.
Even working out, I think about work. You think about work when you're working out because then you send me voice memos.
Yeah.
I do the same.
But I will say I feel like cycle bars like my outlet because I turn my phone off. I leave it in the other room. I go into a dark room. They play really good music, especially if you go on a themed ride. I'm a themed ride girly all day long. And like I just zone out for 45 minutes, but I feel like I get my best ideas sometimes when I zone out. Like I am kind of.
Does that happen with you too? Like endorphin rush?
I go on a walk somewhere. Yeah. If I needed to have a creative idea, I go on a walk. Yeah. It will just hit me. It will just hit me.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to turn it off.
Like my best work is on an airplane. Okay. So if I go on an airplane, I get a glass of wine and I sit down with my laptop and I can crank out so much work because no one's distracting me.
Yeah.
So some days I'm like, I'm just going to buy a flight to California and get so much work done.
Holy shit. Like just the round trip.
Yeah.
You'd be done for the year. You'd be like, Sherry, I'm done. Like I hit all the goals. I'm literally good.
Yeah.
We're good.
But then that's the thing that sucks is work is never done.
It's never done.
You could finish the longest to-do list and then it's like, I still have so much to do.
It was like BrainTrust Live is done, and then it was like, and all these things I've been ignoring.
Yep.
Here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think self-care is so important, and before you get burnt out too. I mean, it's great for your mental health, and I think more than anything, it's great for your mental health. So.
Yeah.
How do you start knowing you're starting to get burned out? Like, did you have like a quick realization, or did you let it get really bad and then?
I let it get really bad, and I had just
spoken like a true workaholic.
And I called Sherry and I was like, I can't come to work tomorrow. I have to have a me day, and I just needed one day.
Yeah.
I also do it to myself. I mean, I'm finally going on my first vacation since I started at BrainTrust in 2 weeks to San Miguel in Mexico.
Amazing.
And
sounds fabulous.
It feels so aligned. I'm finally going on my first vacation that's not like a one-off.
Like a weekend.
Or like a bachelorette.
Yes.
Oh, dear God.
I love all my friends getting married, but also.
Also, can we stop?
Yeah.
Can we stop? Oh my God, I love it.
But so that personally was what I'm most proud of. And then for professional reasons, I mean, I'll say just becoming president. I mean, it was just one of those things. It kind of just happened, and I didn't really expect it. And she offered me the job, and I immediately got like hives. I was like, "What do you mean? I don't think I'm qualified." And I took a month to accept it.
That's wild.
Oh wow!
Like, I have to think about this. But I always told her, I said, I'm not nervous that I'm going to mess up or fail because I probably will at some point. I was like, I'm nervous that I'm going to disappoint you. And I don't want to do that. And so we talked a lot about it, and she's amazing. So finally accepted it. And then it took me like another 2 weeks to even post it on LinkedIn because imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I'm qualified. People are going to talk about me. And, people commented they were happy. So, but
everyone was like stoked. I mean, there were so many. I mean, it was big news. Like it was like people really talked about it. And it was just like, because to know Morgan is to love Morgan. And it was just like, hell yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone, I mean, I'm sure
somebody out there.
Someone was negative about it. But, it's like, that's their own problem. And I think that that's a big part of the imposter syndrome is like owning it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Just having that confidence and you know what? No one knows what I've done.
Yeah.
No one sees all my late nights and the hard work I've put in and the, you know, how I've grown revenue and membership. And I'm like, I know that. So I got to have confidence in myself. And it's hard to do sometimes, but, you know, I talk to myself in the mirror a lot. So
I need to do that. I'm
great.
not good at that. I'm so in my head. I need to talk to myself in the mirror.
You do.
A lot.
It's a good outlet.
Yeah.
Or driving in the car, I talk to myself.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
I love driving. I love a drive.
I just have full conversations with myself.
Yeah, me too. I'm just like,
and
that's where I'm just like, I turn on some good music or a good podcast and I just like let my thoughts go.
It's like the quote that's like 99% of what we worry about doesn't ever happen. It may not be that number. It's another number, but it's a high number. But it's so true that like with the things that we internalize and that we worry and that we lose sleep over, whatever conversations, like awkward or scary conversations we have to have with people, 9 times out of 10, like they go really well.
Yeah.
Or they go better than you were expecting. Yeah. And you just can't
like
let.
You're worrying about nothing really.
Yeah.
I do this to myself all the time.
Yeah.
And then I think I have the conversation or I have whatever it might have been. And I was like, oh, it actually went really well. I mean, I closed out the day for BrainTrust Live and I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I've talked in front of a big crowd before, but I was just so nervous. I mean, all these
it's a big to close it out. Yeah.
Before I got on stage, before I even talked, I got a standing ovation. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, but it calmed me down. I was like, okay, y'all are making me feel better.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're in your head about it. And then after it was done and I was on stage, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm loving it. So
what I've learned from public speaking is like just saying to yourself and really owning that everyone in the audience wants you to win.
Yeah.
Right.
They want you to win. They want you to crush it. They want you to do a great job introing someone or presenting or doing a keynote or doing a panel or whatever it is. Like they want to learn from you and they want to be inspired by you. And so that I feel like levels it out a little bit with the nerves. It's just like everyone in this audience is here because they're happy to see me, not because they're jealous.
Because they're jealous, And if they are, then I don't want them in my circle anyways.
Yeah. Get the toxic shit out of here, man.
Get the toxic shit out of here.
I don't have any time for that.
No.
And I think that that's a huge lesson for successful people too, and people that want to be successful is you have to hone in your circle, narrow in who you're spending your time with, and get toxic people out of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true. And I've done that, you know, and you just, it's not that you even fully remove them sometimes. It's just, you maybe don't talk to them as much or you just don't, you know, share everything with them either. And I think it's just important to have your people who support you and who care for you and uplift you at all times because life is hard and you're going to go through some stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to have strong people around you. And what it was a saying, like you are the 5 people you surround yourself with. So I think that's important as well is like, who are you surrounding yourself with, you know?
Yeah.
What are they doing on the weekends? What are they doing? What are they thinking? What content are they consuming?
Can I ask you what you do with your relationship to like balance work and relationship? I feel like that's kind of an interesting thing to talk about. And
like
I would
with my
love
family or with my boyfriend.
I mean, I'm more curious about the boyfriend.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to know this as someone who's single because I feel like that worries me sometimes. Like
being so workaholic-y.
And being a woman in a position of power.
Yeah.
Like
it's intimidating to a lot of guys to see VP or president or CEO in your title. Like that's very intimidating. I'm very married, but you know, for y'all.
Yeah.
Well, I will say he is so supportive and but we were friends before we even started dating. So we met through business. So he is like-minded in that sense.
Yeah.
So he is very driven and goal-oriented. And so I think that's
Does he have any brothers?
Yeah, do we have a brother? Do we have a brother? He's a sports guy. And Ashley loves a sports guy. He's putting that out here if we have any listeners.
If you love LSU football, maybe you can date him. I'm kidding.
It's amazing.
He's going to listen to this and be like, oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
But we met through work. So we had these like same, you know, characteristics of being very business driven and goal oriented. And so I think that's helped it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was hard. I mean, before I met him, I would go on dates, but I'm like, why do you not care about your career? Like I would go on dates with guys and they would not care about their work. They would, And it was so important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of our relationship is around work. And sometimes we're like, are we in a business relationship? But, but we love to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's fun to us to help to motivate each other and build each other up. And I think that's important. So it's like what's important to you. But he's awesome. I mean, he was at the whole day at BrainTrust Live. He was so sweet. So, and all the women were coming up to him like, do you know your girlfriend's a badass? And he's like, I know.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's the vibe, right?
That's
like
the vibe.
Finding a cheerleader that's not intimidated by your success.
Yeah.
And not jealous. And
Yeah, those guys they can't hold a candle to the flame. Is that the saying?
I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
I always butcher sayings. Like I
butchered one earlier.
No one butchers sayings as bad as my sister. I have a list on my phone of just like, we call them Courtneyisms because she'll just like say stuff and we're just like, you were almost there.
You almost got there, but we didn't hit it.
Almost there.
But not close. Yeah.
Well, I love that about your boyfriend. I just was curious because I think there are a lot of people like Ash, maybe looking for that, or that are in a relationship and are just super business oriented, or maybe aren't, and just like trying to balance differences.
Well, and it's he has stuff at night too, just like I do. So it's balancing that as well as like prioritizing sometimes our relationship over a business meeting or something. Yeah. But I think we both have the understanding like, hey, I've got this tonight and I'll see you after. Or let's meet. Like today I was going to Franklin for a coffee at 1 and I had 40 minutes. And so we got lunch together. And so it's like those small things that are really important because, we don't spend 24/7 together.
Right.
That's just because we both are very driven people and our careers are important to the both of us. And so I think it's important just to find someone who values that as well, if that's important to you.
Yeah.
Because if you don't find someone that values that, they probably won't understand you going to.
And like really respect it. And I think it's that mutual respect thing of like, I respect that that's a very important thing to you. And like, I know you don't want to work late nights, but I respect that that is a big part of your career.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're in and finding someone that's okay with, hey, a couple of nights out of the week, I might have to be at a networking event or whatever.
Exactly. The respect is the biggest thing.
And then also being able to be self-independent. They've got to have their thing.
They've got to have their thing.
Yes.
They got to have it.
And they got to be cool with you having your thing, and they can't be weird about that. And then they have to have their thing. And you got to both each have your own lives.
Play golf.
Go
do, your football.
Yeah.
Go do that. Go throw the ball.
Yeah.
I think that's important for like life in general, even in like friendships, like in just families, just I think you need to have your own thing that makes you independent, that makes you, that's like, this is my thing.
Yeah. And that's why I love that I do my tennis now. I'm like,
Yeah.
I got my tennis.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
He's big into hockey. So he like coaches kids hockey and he plays hockey. So like every night of the week he's doing hockey. And I'm like, well, now I have my tennis. So you have your hockey.
So I'll be at tennis. So enjoy that on the cold ice.
Yeah.
Or I don't even know if it's ice hockey.
No, it is.
Okay. I'm like, there's other areas of hockey fields. Well, okay. Last question we asked our female guests. I don't know if we asked the male guests this question.
We can start asking them.
Yeah, we can. Maybe I just don't care as much.
Yeah, we just don't care.
But to ask you your definition of a Renaissance woman.
Figured you were going to, because I listened to y'all's podcast.
That's how we know people, the guests listen, is when they're like, I knew you were going to ask me that.
So,
I think if you look up the word Renaissance, it's like someone that's diverse in a lot of things, right? And so I looked it up because I was
we love it.
But it made me think about how, going back to what we were talking about earlier, that women just like do it all, and we just get it done. And I think a Renaissance woman is someone who just gets it done. And it even if they don't maybe know how to do it, but they figure it out and they're resourceful and they just do it. And so I think, I know a lot of women who are like that, and it's cool to see. So I think it's just someone who just goes out there and is driven and just puts in the work and is like, nothing's going to stand in my way.
And they do what they say they're going to do.
They do what they say they're going to do.
I love that. Wow.
I always say, like, commitment means staying loyal to what you say you're going to do long after the mood you set it in has left you. And I think a lot of people don't do that. And so it's very important to stick with what you say you're going to do. Or to me, it is important.
Yeah.
I love that. Even if you're, in a really great mood and everything's going great in your life, and you say like, or you're in a really bad mood or whatever it is, like you're staying that path. You're staying committed to yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's what builds confidence too. When you hit those commitments that you had made to yourself, those promises you had made to yourself, those goals.
Even, people set goals in January and then it gets, to June and they're like, oh, well, I haven't really done this. So I'm going to wait till January again to do something. I'm like, no, you committed to yourself.
Yeah.
We're going to do this year. And I think that's going back to like me staying true to like my self-care and, my tennis and whatever it may be. It's like, you have to do what's good for you and stay committed to what you said you're going to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Morgan Stanley.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being these 3 blonde powerhouses.
I love it.
Who love golden retrievers and
wine. We love wine.
You love shopping. I love
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I love shopping. Yeah. Shopping's a sport.
It is.
Me and Jane were talking about this the other day at dinner because we were like, guys have hobbies. Like they can go play golf. Like they can hunt. My brother-in-law and dad are big hunters. But like girls don't, it's just like harder to find a hobby as a girl. I just feel like there's more hobbies available for guys. And I was like, or like the hobbies for girls just sound a little more like, you're like, I love to shop. But I'm like, no, shopping's a hobby and it's a sport.
It's hardcore.
It's hardcore. You got to know the good deals. You got to know what there's a strategy behind it. There's a strategy behind everything in life, but
I list shopping as my hobby and my boyfriend's like, that's not a hobby. I'm like, it's a hobby.
Hobby.
It is a hobby. And I know it's a sport. And you have to be good at it.
You gotta have on your shopping shoes. Like if you're going to an outdoor mall, you're walking around. You gotta wear the right clothes.
Yeah,
you gotta,
it's an event. You burn a lot of calories.
Yeah.
You get a lot of steps in.
Yeah,
and you swipe their credit card. Okay,
and you do that. And then you have a track record of your hobby. That's all that a credit card statement is.
And
really,
you dress well.
And then you look great, and then you feel great.
You feel great,
and you look cute.
And there you go.
And I'm last piece. It's so like we're off on this tangent, but like I think like investing in your home too, and like the spaces in your home, whether it's your bedroom or your bathroom or your kitchen or whatever. Like my house right now is so decked out for fall because I'm just like such a basic girl.
Yeah.
I'm like it's like a Kirkland explosion. But I come home and it makes me so happy. And then I want to be there more and I'm happy in that space. And I think the same about my workspace. I want my workspace to be cute. I want, it just invest in what makes you happy. I'm all about that.
Invest in what makes you happy. That is good.
Totally. Do more of that.
Do more of that. I love it.
All right.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Morgan. Till next time.